taken by people who don't know anyone in Jersey. And I think that actually solves quite a lot of issues. I think environmental compliance should also be done from outside Jersey. I think anything to do with compliance, where people's knuckles get wrapped, should be from outside, because otherwise there's always the suspicion in Little Jersey that somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. And that's just the way it is, because it's a small community and we do know each other. So that's my penny worth on those sorts of issues. Motive for the dishonesty. Well, now, I personally think that this business, for instance, of the tax and spend policy, there are certain issues in the States which I found were no-go areas. We will do what it takes to make sure that discussion on this is not real open debate. On many things, it's perfectly okay, and I have no beef. You know, people are trying their best to get the right answer in this area, in that area, in the other area. But certain biggies, no go. One is child abuse, which will come out in the Committee of Inquiry, so I won't talk about that, but, well, hopefully it will all come out in the Committee of Inquiry. But there were things hidden and covered up there, and I'm hopefully writing a book about that. But don't tell anybody, because I still might not, because it takes so long. Now, the other issue is tax and spend. There's this huge issue of tax and spend. And in my belief, the main aim of the ruling group in Jersey is to keep taxes low. Partly because of the finance industry, because they think the finance industry might depart if taxes were higher. In fact, our taxes are lower than anywhere else, so even if we up them, we still would be lower than Singapore and lower than Switzerland. Yeah. So it's not an argument. And also because they just have a mantra. It's the neoliberal belief that the lower taxes are the better. And in fact, the IMF has just done a report saying that the more equal a society is, the more likely it is to have sustained growth. Because unequal societies don't invest, they don't generate economic activity. People are too busy squirreling away there, whatever. I don't know how it works, but more equal societies are more prosperous. And that is now IMF research, not just the research in the spirit level by somebody in 2007, which is one book I haven't read, but I agree with the conclusions. Social indicators and negative sort of like research onto how bad things are socially. I can't remember a document that you can say, there it is, that's the poverty index, or that's how many children are in poverty in Jersey, and so on and so on. But there was a study done for Social Security which was at the root of income support, which was the underlying theory behind income support. And that was done by Loughborough University, who have a centre, Leicester or Loughborough? Leicester or Loughborough, begins with an L. And they have a unit which is still going. If you type in low pay research and living wage, you'll get to it. And they're still doing this research. They are the go-to people in the UK for how much does it cost to live? What do poor people actually need to live on? And they did the work for Jersey. And income support was promptly set at below the level they recommended. But never mind, better than nothing. And so there is that research. Whether it's been updated recently, I don't know.
Can I quickly ask you, do you think that minimum wage often means maximum wage?
Well, exactly. It is used as a peg. It's just used as the level to pay people at. And I think the calls for living wage are going to grow in the light of the fact that it's already there in London as a guideline, and it doesn't seem to do any damage. Wards at Overdale, yes, I take the point. Rainy day fund and borrowing. Well, borrowing actually is something that I and others have been impressing on the Treasury Minister, that it is actually quite normal to borrow for capital expenditure. And Jersey has been living in cloud cuckoo land by having everything paid for out of current account. You know, you just have some money in your pocket and you buy a school. It's quite extraordinary. No other government in the world does that. It's just that Jersey seems to have the readies and has then adopted this. It's now become a belief. It's become a belief, not just a practice, that we must borrow.
That's in one's own housekeeping. Yes,
everybody here has borrowed. Everybody here has borrowed.
If you've still got sixpence in your pocket, you're all right. But if you give it away and no sixpence, disaster.
It sounds realistic, but the fact is, and certainly using borrowing to fund housing is absolutely okay, because you get an income stream. So you build your house, you get the rent, and it pays back. You know, so that really does make sense. with the hospital, well, okay, you could, I think some of these is coming out of the rainy day fund, actually. I'm pretty sure that they can't find the money any other way, unless they were to put up taxes. It doesn't do that. So I think that's about it. And I'd like to close, if I may, close with something the JP, who aren't always biased, and it's the press statement for my proposition on honesty. I did do a proposition right at the end of my time in the States called something misleading information, and it also covered the election of scrutiny panel chairman. And it says here, Deputy calls for a culture of honesty. And that debate, it's P169 actually, if you want to look at honesty in the States and the cases where ministers have lied or misled the States, then just go to P169/2011, 2011. And it wasn't debated because of procedural shenanigans, which tells you a lot actually. It was going to be debated on the last session, and it was managed not to be debated. But anyway, they very kindly gave me a good quote, and maybe we could end with this, and maybe it's a sort of prayer. I want to see an island where the relationship between people and government goes beyond respect to genuine warmth. An island where this political divisiveness is a thing of the past. Where government departments act openly and transparently as their default position. Where there is a true partnership between states and people. Good heavens, we are an island of just over 90,000 souls. If we cannot do it, who can?
Amen. Could you answer your quick speak question?